Tonight, I understand that you all are about to go into Ango. And not that I was charged to talk about it tonight, but I talk about Ango quite a bit because it was something, it is, Ango I see as being very much instrumental in shaping my life as a priest and as a practitioner of the Dharma. So I like talking about it. I participated in 3 Ango in Japan and 1 in Iowa and 1 at Tassajara in California. So it's been a very deep part of my practice. The main reason being is that as a practice, to me, the main part of that practice is not simply going and learning and doing ceremony, but being in community. And it's a practice of Sangha. And, somebody can tell me I'm wrong, that's fine. But that's been my experience of it. And I've been very grateful for that. So what is an Ango? My understanding is that Ango is what developed out of a practice that goes back to the beginnings of our tradition, back to the Buddha. One of the fascinating things about the story of the Buddha for me is how his whole life subsequent to his awakening was spent on the road. It was spent on the road, followed by being cared for by his disciples, which, according to the sources, numbered in the thousands, to never have a place, a single place, that they just sat down and practiced, but to roam the whole of India from country to well, not that we wouldn't say country, but from kingdom to kingdom, in a time that was just as fraught with danger and serious problems, social and environmental and otherwise, as we are today. He roamed in the body, same kind of body we have, a body that was aging. He died on the road. Road to where? Road to nowhere. Road to here. And I find that fascinating. So, unlike us, the Buddha didn't stop somewhere and throw up a temple and put out a calendar for people to come. The temple was everywhere. There were places where they stopped in a grove, in a field, at the house of a patron, at a facility that one of his patrons may have built to host him and his people and his community. So no 501c3, you know, just here. This is where we are. And wherever that stopping was a temple. Temple where a god plucked a blade of grass and stuck it in the ground. That's it. These days, it's so much more difficult, you know, raising the money, finding the place, bringing the community together, getting the website up, all of that, you know. Great Tree, the temple to which I'm connected, did that some 20 years ago. So yeah, we know. So difficult. We haven't had an Ango yet. We're about to, as well, just as you are. So it's fascinating. This Ango or practice period, there's a Southeast Asian word for it. I can't remember it right now, but a Theravadan word for it. This practice period coincides for the Buddha and his people with the rains, the rainy season. And so I think it's called the rains retreat. It's held in the rainy season, it says, because the rainy season is uncomfortable, full of dangers, monsoons, floods, mudslides, hard to travel in those times. These are the kinds of events where people get hurt, where people get sick. And because we are a community and care for each other, if we have to stop, we stop. And that's what they did. The community gathered together in a grove, in a field, in the shadow of a mountain, at a patron's home, at a temple built for them, and sat for 3 months until the rains ended. So it's called the Rains Retreat. I don't call it a retreat myself. Don't like that word. It's a very loaded Western word. It took us a long time to convince the person who were doing our Great Tree website not to put sesshin is a retreat. I'm like, no, it's not a retreat. Stop saying that. Sesshin is sesshin, you know. My little self-righteous self. Because in my mind, it is not a retreat. Retreat, in my mind, means to step back from the world, to remove myself from the world, to retreat. And that is not what we do in this practice, in this life of Ango, of Sesshin. It's not retreat. It's full on, all in living in reality. And that's what Ango means to me. This practice of going into Ango, or going into Sesshin, or whatever we do together as a community. As I said, it's not a stepping back. It's full on reality. It's full on being in the world together, in the effort with the intent of walking the Eightfold Path, with the intent of practicing being compassion, with the intent of the paramitas, with the intent of all those lists of things, the precepts, all of that. That's what we're doing. And we're doing it together with all our karma, all these conditions, and all these personalities. And we're doing it for however long that practice period lasts, and with the hope and intent that it never ends, that when I walk back through those gates, when I leave the temple Great Tree, Tassajara, when I switch off the Zoom for the last time after the last ceremony, the closing ceremony, it continues. It continues out in the street. It continues at my job. It continues at school. It continues with my sister. It continues when, Boo is acting up. It continues. We continue always this practice. There's no period. We say practice period, but there is no period after the practice. My experience, I'll tell you if I can read my handwriting. I wrote some stuff down, but my life, my brain is a little sketchy sometimes these days. The last time I was in Ango was a very long time ago in Nagoya at the Nisoto, at the infamous Nisoto. No, it's a beautiful place. It's a women's convent. And I found, in doing some cleanup one day, I found this little book, which was my little journal that I wrote things down in and complained in the whole time I was there at the Nisoto. And it's really hilarious. It's just hilarious, who I am, who I think I am. And one of the things I wrote there, my teacher, she didn't go to the Nisoto. Her teacher wouldn't let her go. And she'd heard all kinds of things about it. She said, "Oh, you're going to jump into the crucible." And I've heard that used a lot, saying that going to Ango is like being thrown into the crucible, with the intent of hardening your practice, intent of making you stronger, or whatever that is. And I wrote in my little red book, I'm wondering if I'm in the crucible or I'm just about to be incinerated. Am I really going to come out of this with with a stronger life in the Dharma, or am I just going to burn up and be ashes blowing in the wind? Still haven't decided what it was yet. But what Ango has meant for me was, yes, it is a refuge with friends on the path. It is a refuge. It is the three jewels, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. It is Sangha to the max. It's friends on the path perceived enemies becoming friends on the path. It's myself learning that learning how to be a friend, learning how to be compassion, instead of just mouthing kanon, to embody kanon, to embody Shakyamuni, to embody the teachings I received from my teacher, Keijo Munich, that have been handed down through thousands and thousands of years, that I received from Siddhartha Gautama, my brother, my father, my Buddha, myself. It's learning how and being accountable for all of that in myself while I'm criticizing that girl over there. Got on my nerves, last night. Yeah. And learning to be more compassionate and learning to know what is really important in this relationship as Sangha, what we're all trying to do, what our intent is, the precepts. So it is that, a refuge among my friends who are walking with me. It is caring for the temple. And what do I mean by the temple? Yeah, it's caring for the building and the grounds. It's caring for the ancestors, caring for that monk 1,000 years ago whose hands planted this tree, whose hands also weeded this garden, whose hands cleaned the pond, whose hands, trimmed the candles and straightened up the closet. The same who ran up and down these stairs, even though I'll never know that name, even though that woman was not famous and recorded in the, in the books of Zen. Her name is forgotten. It's running the same path as Gasan and noting that the path needs to be cleaned and cleaning it. It's caring for all of that, for that history and all of that, that is the reason why we're here in the first place. It's caring for that sister who, long after my bones have washed away, my dust will come, I hope, and care for it too. And she won't know my name. She won't know I ever existed, but here is all my heart to that child who comes later, and to whom I am accountable. Now, you don't have to go to Japan to feel all that. You don't have to be in, a 600-year-old temple cleaning the dragon pond, or making the gravel, but we all have the same responsibility. The responsibility to, pay the Zoom fees, the responsibility to straighten the cushions in our little zendo at Great Tree and wipe the floor, to serve as tenzo when it's my turn to serve as tenzo in the little Great Tree kitchen, and to fix decent, nourishing food appropriate for our practice period, so that the people who come can sit in comfort with clear mind and a full but gently full stomach. Same responsibilities, doesn't matter where we are. That is practice period. That is the life and the Dharma with each other, together, in Sangha, in Ango. Ango is also 5,000 bows. I have no idea how many bows I did at Ango, at any of those Angos, but you know, it's not like you're doing 3 a day, you know. I watched some of you, I could see some of you in your house doing the bows, standing up and doing the bows. My room is kind of not set up for that. It's not even my room. But how many thousands of bows have you done on Zoom together? Count up. Oh, and yeah, when you do Yakufsats, yeah. I can remember we did a ceremony, and you know, the 57 Buddhas we did at Nisoto for one particular ceremony. For some reason, we had to bow on all 57. Now, I'm a chunky girl. I am not, you know, athletic at all. But I can remember doing those, and the sweat dripping down my face and down my back, along with all my sisters in that room, 35 of us. Boom, you know, the knees hitting the floor, boom, boom. I remember the rhythm, boom. And somewhere in the middle of that, it's like, no, I can't do this anymore. I can't do it anymore. It's too much, too much, too much. Keep doing it, keep doing it. And there's Ayama Shundo Roshi, is the abbess at Nisoto. She wasn't that. She was in her late 70s at the time. She had spent her whole life doing this. How dare I not give the same devotion? Now, I'm not saying break your knees and your back to do this. What I'm saying is we do what we do in devotion to the Dharma, in devotion to the Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha, and the people sitting, you know, hitting the floor around you, and Hojo-san at the head of the room, at the Buddha, before the Buddha, hitting her knees, boom, boom. And it was fast too. You know, there were some badass girls in Minnesota. Don't mess with them. Boom. And when you're in the room at, you know, at your window, when you're in your room watching the screen and seeing each other, in that rhythm, boom, boom. And I think I got to like 56, almost the last one, with my face wet, whatever. And I remember Shakyamuni Buddha sat under a tree and vowed that he would find the answer, reach enlightenment. Probably, in my mind, couldn't possibly know what that looked like, and vowed to sit until enlightenment or death. All I got to do is one more bow. Yes, and not a triumph at all, not a triumph at all. But I stayed with my sisters and I stayed with Shakyamuni and went forward. And that is devotion. That is devotion of being in this practice period, in this Ango, whatever you want to call it, and standing in that room and standing at your Zoom with your brothers and sisters, community, Sangha, a jewel. And that's what I learned. And that's what I think all of us have access to. Devotion. Devotion is also hearing the bell and showing up. Hopefully with all your clothes on and your besu. In my situation. But showing up when the bell rings, surrendering to that schedule. Even if you're at home, and you can't get to the zendo, you can't get to the monastery, wherever, clicking that Zoom on at, I don't know what time y'all start, 5 o'clock in the morning, and being there, showing up. Because this is something I learned also from a community in Charlotte, North Carolina, where I started. We grew close because I knew if I didn't go, my brother Don might be sitting there all alone. Don Sato is his Dharma name, rock. He's a rock. Would show up every Sunday evening with the key to open the door, his Dodge Ram full of cushions, take all those cushions out upstairs and set them out. And he was the rock that held the door open for all of us to be there. He was what we all should be to each other, are all intending to be to each other. The door opener, the other person in the room, the person that keeps us accountable, who makes all of this possible. Each one of us as a member of Sangha is that. In the monastery, several times I was Shinrei, and that's the person that gets up in the morning and runs through the monastery ringing the bell, or at least I think. I get all my Japanese terms mixed up. It's the morning bell ringer, the one that gets up and runs, before everybody else, and runs through the monastery shaking the bell. The one everybody is angry at. The first thing they open their eyes are like, oh man, kill that girl. Oh, that's it. Very important to start the day, to bring folks from sleep to practice. When that bell is yours, to ring when the key is in your hand and you're the one that turns on the light. When that's Sangha, that's Ango. You are accountable for all of it. You are taking care of the temple, and the temple includes those tender bodies sitting on the tongues. The temple includes the folks waiting for you to, the host, to turn that, to open the Zoom room. This is what we are to each other. And that's what Ango taught me, that I am what I am to all of you, and beyond the gate, what I am to all of you. So there's an accountability factor here. There's devotion. There's surrender. There's also me. There's also this I, me, mine that I have to deal with, that I get shown. All my coming and going. I arrive at the temple and immediately, oh, it's cold here. I got to sleep where? And I got to do what? You know, all my coming and going, my likes and dislikes, you know, of something that just needs to be done. I need to wrap up here. It's my falling asleep on the time. It's my running into the pillars in the hato. I ran into it one day, and I had a big old knot right here because I'm not paying attention. I'm trying to run and I'm trying to be on time, but if I had done what I was supposed to, you know, and I held myself accountable, I would have been on time and I wouldn't have to boom. And it shows you, you know, boom. And it's harsh. It doesn't have to be that harsh, but y'all know when you do it. I have to, you know, that's just my example. When I'm sabotaging myself, it's forgetting my besu and coming half dressed to the hato and getting sent back because what do you have on? That's not what you're supposed to have on. You listen? It's me. It's getting lost in the snow. It's lying breathless at the bottom of a staircase that I just fell down the second time and knocked the breath out of myself. It's all of those things. It's the ego and the self-righteousness that comes when you come up against the one who's your foil. And recognizing, I don't know if anybody else feels this, but when I get angry, I ball up these little fists because they're not even big enough to really hurt nobody. But I roll up my fist and then I want to throw up. I'm more likely to start crying than I am to start yelling because it hurts so bad to feel that anger and that fear. Recognize what that is. That's why everybody's so harmful to each other. That's why when you ball up the fist, because it hurts so bad. I discovered that anger for me is sickness. And it doesn't matter whether I'm justified or not. But I got to feel that. I got to feel that in the quiet on the ton. I got to feel that facing that sister who, yeah, she's lucky I'm not that big. And feeling that and what that really truly is, and that it's not real, that I can make myself sick with it, a discovery, and discovering things like that about myself, and learning that that pain is also in my sisters and brothers, and learning to be to do that flexible enough to let that go and breathe and heal and not hurt my sister, regardless of what madness just happened. So this is me describing an experience of Ango. And I don't hope that you get lost in the snow. I don't hope that you end up with a big knot on your head because you fell down the stairs because you weren't paying attention. I don't hope that you come to blows or feel anger or all these things. I don't want your knees to hurt. However you do your Ango, however you come to this practice, I'm not wishing any of that for all of you. But I am wishing that it's seen, you see it, you get to see it. I am wishing that you hope that your intent is met. Intent of devotion, of surrender, of finding those friends on the path and treasuring those jewels because they're in your hand right now. They're in your heart right now. Here's an opportunity to recognize, to treasure, to heal. Not in the retreat way. You know, ain't no spa. Ain't no spa. It's hard work. And this is hard work that opens and connects, is what it did for me. And I try to remember it all the time. I try to access it all the time. And I don't think I would have known it in any way if I hadn't placed myself in the grove with Shakyamuni Buddha.